Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to, for the first time in a long time, a commentary over some WWE 2K footage. We are seeing in front of us right now the finals of the WWE 2k24 Universe Mode Continental Classic that has been taking place over the past few weeks throughout AEW, and here we see the finalists from the Blue League having amassed a total of 15 points throughout the tournament. He was only defeated one time out of all of the matches that he faced. Victories over the likes of Penta, Seth Rollins, Bandito, Keith Lee, and AR Fox throughout the journey throughout the tournament. Konosuke Takeshita, almost a nearly unblemished record, just falling short only one time, and that was at the hands of Cameron Grimes. Now Konosuke Takeshita going into the finals of this match, having a victory over Seth Rollins in the semifinals to secure his place at the end of this Continental Classic here. The winner of this Continental Classic, of course, will receive all the grandeur and awards that come with that title. Now we see the entrance, the finalist for the Gold League, a man who amassed 13 points throughout the tournament, tying with the other semifinalist, Drew McIntyre, but just barely outlasting Drew McIntyre in the finals, the semifinals, the finals of the Gold League, I should say. And in doing so, Kurt Angle securing his spot in the finals of this tournament in what is sure to be a dream match. We have the Olympic gold medalist going one-on-one with the Alpha, Konosuke Takeshita, here tonight, and this is bound to be a phenomenal encounter. While I am here, I do want to do some recap on the State of the Universe mode in what has been going on. Earlier tonight, we saw some matchups featuring the Usos, who are officially reunited under the AEW umbrella, challenging the tag team champions, that being Hit Row. Hit Row have been holding down those tag team championships, that being Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, and have amassed a faction, including not just them, but also AR Fox and Cedric Alexander, two men that we saw throughout this tournament here in the Continental Classic secure some very significant wins. AR Fox, in fact, picking up victories over Bandito, as well as Cameron Grimes, the man that we had mentioned defeated Konosuke Takeshita. Those two are very credible tag team champions, having held those belts for over 100 days now at this point. Not to mention, earlier tonight we did have some other matchups featuring the likes of Seth Rollins challenging Drew McIntyre, two of the semi-finalists from this tournament. Of course, Drew McIntyre entering this tournament as the AEW Intercontinental, or I should say rather the International Championship holder, and defending that against Seth Rollins successfully earlier tonight. We did see a new TBS champion crowned in Queen Aminata, picking up a victory over Stephanie Vacquer, as well as a matchup featuring Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. We also saw a match between Randy Orton and Jake the Snake Roberts, the Snake versus the Viper match. And we saw a steel cage match featuring the Sandman locked inside a cage with MJF. So if any of those other matchups sound interesting to you, not to mention a Women's World Heavyweight Championship match featuring Lita challenging Toni Storm for that AEW Women's Championship. Of course, Toni Storm having held down that Women's Championship throughout the duration of Universe Mode this season, and doing a terrific job as the champion, retaining those championships in multiple encounters that she has had since her defeat over Mercedes Moné. And now we see the weapons being implemented in this match as Konosuke Takeshita bashing Kurt Angle's head into the trash can that we see here at ringside, and now gaining the advantage on the inside with a Death Valley driver to follow that up, dropping Kurt Angle right on the back of his neck, and now following it up with a pinfall that we see from the man who had amassed the greatest number of points throughout the tournament. And now we see a Ripcord Lariat to follow that up. just relentlessly on the attack after Kurt Angle we see here. But Kurt, certainly a mat specialist, not going to fall victim to the assault of Konosuke Takeshita here. And it's worth noting the man who is in Takeshita's corner here tonight. This is his first time accompanying Konosuke Takeshita to the ring, but a man that we know very well to be his agent, that being Don Callis. The relationship between these two. Oh, and a brutal forearm smash that makes Kurt Angle absolutely crumble to the mat. But what could the powers of the invisible hand provide Konosuke Takeshita with in some kind of guidance that will lead him through this matchup and perhaps bring him on his way to a future championship match at a time of his choosing. Now a belly-to-belly suplex from Kurt Angle, sending Konosuke Takeshita from the ring all the way down to the outside, crashing hard. As mentioned earlier, Konosuke Takeshita only falling short one time throughout the entirety of the tournament, whereas Kurt Angle coming up short in 2 encounters. Well, I should say in only really 1 encounter where he lost, and that was a brainbuster on the outside. Just absolutely relentless from Konosuke Takeshita. Now sending Angle for a ride, but Angle quickly able to slip out of that and now running back into the ring before the referee's count. Now going for a sliding clothesline. However, Takeshita brushing it off and hitting a springboard dropkick to the face. Absolutely relentless when it comes to Takeshita securing the absolute dominance in this match against Kurt Angle, which I must say is a surprise at this early going. And now we see Takeshita with a tremendous power bomb, but you'd have to think that the longer this matchup goes, the more it favors Kurt Angle, a man who has endurance, integrity, all the eyes that you could possibly need to be the champion around here. Oh, going for the knee smash was Takeshita, but it was countered by Angle, who now lands an Angle slam far away from the ropes and could be securing a pinfall here on Takeshita within the first 5 minutes of the match. However, Takeshita able to get the shoulder up, and now following it up with a Takeshita line to the back of the head. And it is worth noting, for a timestamp at the time that I am recording this, it should be coming out the day that I record the audio, and at this very moment, Konosuke Takeshita in our actual world, in real life, is the G1 Climax winner. So what an incredible victory to secure here, not only being the G1 Climax winner in real life, of course, a tremendous accolade for a man of that caliber to be accomplishing. Not only that, but as well, he could be walking away with the Continental Classic victory here in Universe Mode, which would be a tremendous way for Takeshita to celebrate the end of the summer. However, running across the ring after introducing the table to the match, but Kurt Angle picking out the leg and now securing the ankle lock on Takeshita, looking to secure a tap out by any means from Takeshita, but Takeshita powering out of it, rolling through and finding an escape before Kurt Angle can cinch in that hold. But now Kurt Angle still maintaining the advantage following that dropkick, and now looking to make the table work for himself. And Kurt Angle in the tournament, it's worth mentioning, coming up short against Braun Breaker and coming up in a time limit draw against Johnny Gargano in what were 2 of the most spectacular matches of the tournament. You gotta think, after he puts Takeshita through that table and he's fired up now, you gotta think what Kurt Angle has endured throughout this tournament and how much that's going to affect him in the finals here. Now being sent into that exposed turnbuckle, and obviously at this point you have realized that this match is no disqualification, and that has been ensured at the hands of Tony Khan and AEW management to ensure that we have an absolute victor here tonight. Barring any interactions from the outside, as we know, the Continental Classic does not permit any kind of interference, and the fact that Don Callis is being allowed to be at ringside here tonight is quite telling of the influence that the invisible hand might have here in AEW. And we could be seeing now a butterfly suplex onto the remnants of the table at the hands of Kurt Angle. An absolutely outstanding athlete, getting a running start, and now going for a tope con hilo, taking out Konosuke Takeshita on the outside of the ring. The referee pleading with the two competitors to get it back inside the ring, but Takeshita now reversing out of it and sending Kurt Angle for a ride. Takeshita going for a chair shot, connecting on the skull of Kurt Angle on the outside, and repeated chair shots now here on the outside at the hands of Konosuke Takeshita. One more to the back of the head of Angle. Now, Kurt Angle finding his way back into this matchup, going high risk, going to the top rope, could be going for a moonsault. Secures it, and now a pinfall attempt at the hands of Kurt Angle, and a near fall, but Takeshita just barely getting that shoulder back up at the count of 2. Kurt Angle, you know he has unfinished business with the AEW World Champion. Now going for a buckle bomb in the corner. Both these men having faced at some point in their career Kenny Omega. In Universe mode, Kurt Angle was the one to challenge Kenny Omega, our current AEW champion, back at All In. So you know that this could be his ticket. Having a victory here tonight could be his ticket to winning that championship that he so desires. Konosuke Takeshita now being driven into the turnbuckle pad, and that might have lacerated Konosuke Takeshita. It appears that he is bleeding after that shot into the turnbuckle. And Takeshita had his run-ins earlier this year as well with Kenny Omega. Those two being on the opposite sides at Double or Nothing in the Anarchy in the Arena match that we saw in Universe mode. Fighting on the outside. Action gets sent back to the ring as Kurt Angle looks to introduce yet another table into this matchup, and we're going to see how he wishes to utilize that. Looks like he has something planned with his Kurt Angle, despite facing Omega back at All In, was on the same side as Omega in that Anarchy in the Arena match, on the opposing side of Konosuke Takeshita, in which DIY teamed up with Kurt Angle and Kenny Omega to take on Will Ospreay, Konosuke Takeshita, and Kazuchika Okada and Hangman Adam Page in what was an awesome matchup. A Death Valley driver through the table at the hands of Takeshita, and a near fall. Kurt Angle almost going down for the count of 3, but not quite giving in, as Takeshita still persisting on the assault on Angle, as we have approached now the halfway mark of the time limit for the Continental Classic Finals, but missing the diving knee, and now capturing him for the Exploder Suplex does Kurt Angle. Now we see Don Callis getting back up on the apron. He has already involved himself in this match. A tremendous German suplex at the hands of Angle. And now stepping over for the ankle lock, but a rope break at the hands of Takeshita. Despite this being no disqualification, submissions can still be broken at the ropes in order to ensure a fair contest here. And now Kurt Angle is now capturing Takeshita in the ankle lock, making sure that he can wrench in on that hold. Takeshita reaching out, struggling to fight off through the pain that Kurt Angle is putting him through right now. Struggling and desperately clawing out, reaching for the ropes and trying to find any way to get there. Takeshita wanting to find himself back in the main event picture ever since his crushing loss to Kazuchika Okada back at All In. A tremendous setback at the hands of Takeshita, and now a running back elbow into the corner, and perhaps that could be the reason why we see him enlisting the helps of the likes of Don Callis here at World's End. It appears that Konosuke Takeshita had him feeling, and a clothesline to the outside that sends Kurt Angle face first onto that trash can with a very rough landing. Going back to my point, it feels that Konosuke Takeshita might be at a point where he feels like if he can't get the victory here tonight, if he can't secure himself a world championship match, even at the hands of aligning himself with the likes of Don Callis, then this might be his world's end. He might not have a future here in AEW if he's not able to do so. Kurt Angle now with an angle slam on the outside to Don Callis, and now continuing to assault the two. A trash can shot now to Don Callis as well. And not only doing that, but doing a great job of taking care of Takeshita for the time being. German suplex from Takeshita on the outside. Doing a tremendous amount of damage to Kurt Angle's neck in this matchup. And now Callis back up, but Takeshita being sent directly into Callis. Perhaps the miscommunication on the outside could now lead to cost to Konosuke Takeshita, who now gets picked for the ankle lock. A tremendous misstep at the hands of Don Callis and his party. Angle now working to put away Takeshita as best he can now. At this stage of the match, you got to be thinking, what could these competitors be doing that they haven't pulled out of their bag of tricks already at this point? Takeshita rolling through, however, and able to reverse that. Angle not quite connecting with whatever maneuver he was looking for there. However, Takeshita now with a wheelbarrow German suplex onto the shards of the table. And now pulling Angle back within range for a pinfall attempt here. Referee in position 1, and only a 1 count as Kurt Angle can only do. Takeshita, though, begging him to get back to his feet so he can put him down with a knee strike coming off of the ropes, or Takeshita knee. Only a 2 count, however, but Kurt Angle getting the shoulder up ever so barely. Repeated strikes now from Takeshita, refusing to give in at this exchange to the Olympic gold medalist. And Takeshita largely fired up at the fact that he had lost his match at AEW All In to Kazuchika Okada, a major setback in his professional career here in Universe Mode. And because of that, perhaps feeling that if he cannot secure the victory here tonight and earn himself a future AEW Championship match, then perhaps his world is truly ending. I had to re-record the audio, so I don't know if I used that line yet, but if I did,
with your feet tied up like that. Angle switches it up.
That's a Takeshita line coming out of the corner after he locked him up for the Tree of Woe. And then repeated strikes at the hands of Takeshita to ensure that Kurt Angle stays down here. Continuing to lay it in on Kurt Angle. Repeated strikes to the face, but Angle fighting out of that. That's Angle who's going to go for the grounded strikes here, raining the fist down at Takeshita. Both men, of course, lacerated from the head, wounded pretty badly. Kurt Angle continuing on though with those strikes, which I would not advise against someone the likes of Takeshita. A very prolific striker, as we see there with the Takeshita knee. Pinfall attempt here. And only a 2 count. How did Kurt Angle kick out of that? You see Don Callis flinching in fear on the outside. Can't believe that Kurt Angle escaped that pinfall attempt, ducking out of the way of that big boot. And now Kurt Angle going from behind to attempt, another Takeshita knee at the hands of Konosuke. He now shows off gesturing to the crowd, but could be wasting valuable seconds here in the late stages of this match. Takeshita now looking to go to the top rope for that springboard Takeshita line, countered by Angle, and now going for a bridging German suplex pinfall attempt. 2, and no, Takeshita popping up the shoulders at the very last second. Now it's Angle who's going to lock in the gator roll of sorts, bringing Takeshita back and forth all over the ring, and locking in that crossface to follow it up. Sending Takeshita face first now into the mat. Now what will we see from Angle here? Overhead, belly to belly with an absolutely brutal landing. You see Don Callis on the outside, terrified of what his potential future alpha world champion could be facing here in this contest. Could he suffer a defeat at the hands of the Olympic gold medalist. Now Angle sending Takeshita into that corner there. The exposed turnbuckle not benefiting Takeshita at all. Once again, going for that springboard, countered by Angle now. A reversal from Takeshita, going able to strike with that back elbow. However, Kurt Angle, reversal, sidesteps, waistlock attempts, back and forth here. These two absolutely kicking it into gear in the late stages of this matchup.
And he'll leave the ring for this next stretch. No matter which way he uses that ladder.
Takeshita now introducing a ladder to this match. That could spell disaster for Kurt Angle, who now goes for a tope suicida to the outside, taking out Takeshita from behind. And now locking in. Could be looking to lock in the ankle lock on the outside. This will not net him a victory. However, it could ensure that he does some crucial damage to Takeshita. Perhaps trying to prevent him from making the counter return to the inside of the ring. Reversal from Takeshita, and looking for the Takeshita line on the outside, but now Angle returning back to the ring before the referee can reach the count of 10. And now it's Angle with the Takeshita line of sorts, able to catch Konosuke with that leaping clothesline as he entered the ring, going high risk now with another moonsault. Angle staying on the attack here with repeated attacks to Takeshita. Takeshita, however, going high risk and springboarding off to get that back forearm strike to Angle. Now Takeshita could be taking him for a Blue Thunder bomb. Pinfall attempt here. 1, 2, and Angle once again gets the shoulder up just ever so barely, popping back up to his feet immediately after that pinfall attempt, perhaps fired up at the fact that there are only 30 seconds remaining in this match, but now getting hit with another Takeshita knee. 1, 2, and no, Angle once more, kicking out, getting the shoulder out somehow, able to fight on in this matchup. But what could that mean for Takeshita, who now goes to the outside to look to introduce another weapon in the late stages of this match? However, these two men are within 10 seconds of the deadline. Takeshita still putting on the fight on the outside to Kurt Angle, and the time limit will now expire as we have concluded the 20-minute duration. But have no fear, we will restart this match immediately. In reality, we'll say that these two men had about 2 or 3 minutes to get checked out by medical and have a drink of water. Powerbomb now here from Kurt Angle as these two men starting perhaps the second, maybe the second portion of this match. We will see how long this could go on for. These two men could be fighting here all night. Now a turnbuckle dropkick at the hands of Kurt Angle, looking to expose that turnbuckle pad once more that Don Callis introduced earlier on in the matchup. Now this time Kurt Angle is going to look to use it to his advantage. And I did quickly want to clarify one of the things that I had said earlier as Kurt Angle sends Takeshita into the turnbuckle pad. That was that Toni Storm, having won that women's championship from Mercedes Moné at Full Gear, is the new AEW Women's Champion. However, Mercedes, prior to that, being a 203-day reigning AEW Women's Champion. Now we see on two sides of the ring, Don Callis looking to introduce a ladder, as well as Kurt Angle sending a chair directly into the face of Takeshita.
In a no disqualification match, you never want to be the superstar.
Takeshita now fighting out of this. Another man that we saw throughout the duration of this tournament. Now Takeshita springboarding off of the top for that forearm, but comes up short. Another man that we saw in this Continental Classic tournament, that being Drew McIntyre, is the current AEW International Champion, having held that belt for over 100 days. Knee strike once again from Takeshita. He's such a phenomenal striker. Now looking to go after the legs of Kurt Angle, perhaps. The same way that Angle was using the ankle lock to his advantage, Takeshita could be looking for that same angle now. No pun intended. Well, pun partially intended. A shoulder first, Angle sends him into the canvas, followed up by Takeshita, giving him a receipt of the same thing. Kick to the back at the hands of Takeshita. And now the grounded strikes once more from Kurt Angle. Refusing to stay down, refusing to give up in this match. Springboard forearm. Both these men with so much fight in them, but Kurt Angle once again powering out of it, immediately getting back up to his feet. 23 minutes into this matchup, and neither man seeming to be winded, seeming to have given an inch. Takeshita once again resorting to those strikes that he has to ground Kurt Angle repeatedly. Shoulder once more being sent into the canvas at the hands of Angle, and after such a long grueling tournament in which both these men successful in the Continental Classic matches, successful in the Continental Classic semifinals, now only one of them can continue on and deem themselves. Oh, and a jumping Takeshita knee. Pinfall attempt here. 1, 2, and Takeshita, no! I thought he had it there. At the 23 and a half minute mark, I thought Takeshita was securing and walking away with the victory, as Kurt Angle kicking out of that jumping Takeshita knee at the very last second possible. And Takeshita looking to reintroduce the trash can into this contest, as now he could be looking for the raging fire at the hands of Takeshita. But Kurt Angle refusing to stay down, still getting back up to his feet at all costs. And Takeshita now diving out of the way of Angle's strikes and receiving a back elbow for his efforts. More strikes from Takeshita. What can Angle do now to counteract that? What can Angle do? Sends him into the turnbuckle. So many repeated uses of that turnbuckle pad. You see Callis on the outside, whispering words to Takeshita, trying to influence him, trying to motivate him otherwise to kind of snap out of the state that he's in right now, as he is in a very precarious state with Kurt Angle positioning that trash can now. Angle looking to follow Takeshita up to the top rope. Could be looking for a very high-risk maneuver. The Angle slam all the way from the top, and crumbling to the mat are both men. But Angle, rather than go for the pinfall attempt, looks to follow it up with an ankle lock here. But Takeshita quickly escaping that, not even risking being locked in that maneuver. Bringing Angle over now to the exposed turnbuckle, and once more dropping him with a snake eyes, followed by a trash can shot. Repeated strikes here from Takeshita. Once more going to go for the boots, and these strikes have to absolutely be weighing down on Angle as the course of this match continues. However, Angle entering back with a German suplex that catches Takeshita belly first on the trash can. Stomps now into the corner as Don Callis potentially looking to get integrated in this matchup once more. Dragon screw leg whip at the hands of Takeshita. Pinfall attempt now. Angle still fighting out of it, refusing to stay down to anything less than what Takeshita is willing to throw at him. Springboard elbow strike countered and sidestepped by Angle, who now hoists him up for the overhead belly to belly. Angle now returning off the ropes, looking for a Takeshita line of his own, but Takeshita sidestepped it. Repeated strikes at the hands of Takeshita again. And now what more weapons could Takeshita look to introduce into this match? Now he has a mic from underneath the ring. Strikes back and forth from both of these men. At this stage of the matchup, what could these two men really have left? I mean, we've seen both of these men go to such incredible feats of strength, endurance, and resilience, but this might be the most grueling encounter that either of these two men have had to fight through for this duration to be able to call themselves the winner of the C2. Moonsault once again from Kurt Angle, this time off of the exposed turnbuckle pad. And no, Takeshita again getting the shoulder up. You see the reaction from Kurt Angle in disbelief at the fact that Konosuke Takeshita was able to escape that pinfall attempt again. Now repeated strikes at the hands of Angle, locking in a headlock and a fist to the face. Irish whip from Takeshita off of the ropes. Big boot from Takeshita takes down Angle. And now Takeshita with the trash can, sending it directly into Kurt Angle. Irish whip from Takeshita into the turnbuckle pad. What could he be looking for here? A power slam that takes Kurt Angle out of the corner. And now Takeshita going to look to follow it up by going up to Brett's rope with a huge diving attack here. Looking for that bullet point forearm smash. However, Angle sidestepping it, answering back with an Angle slam. Pinfall attempt here. 1, 2, and no, Takeshita yet once more kicking out and rolling to the outside. Very wise at the hands of Takeshita. You gotta wonder if Don Callis was whispering that in the ear of Takeshita, telling him to evade the ring at all costs. Now Angle returning to the ring with that ladder secured. Takeshita just barely coming to on the inside of the ring as well and gets sent into the corner. Now Angle gonna follow Takeshita up to the top rope. Again, gonna look for an avalanche maneuver from the top. Overhead belly to belly with an absolutely brutal landing on the back of the neck for Takeshita on the ladder. Can that put him away? 1, 2, and no! Takeshita at nearly 30 minutes in the match, despite receiving an overhead belly-to-belly suplex from the top rope, landing so viciously on that ladder. Takeshita now, despite kicking out, this is going to be the real test to see how far Takeshita is willing to go to become champion. Angle absolutely wrenching in on that ankle lock, refusing to give in, refusing to let go. Has Takeshita grounded here? Could we be seeing a tap out in the near future? And no, Takeshita reversing out of it, sending Angle into that ladder that was introduced by Angle. Now we see Takeshita bringing Angle over to the corner. Could be looking to return fire on Angle for what he had just done to Konosuke Takeshita. Now Takeshita being the one to hoist Kurt Angle up on the top rope, stalling, holding him up there, letting all the blood rush to his head and bringing him down. Narrowly missing that ladder on the way of impact on the way down, but that could have really ended poorly for Angle. Now following it up with a crunching German suplex. Did you see the way that Kurt Angle's neck landed on that? But Angle's back up immediately, looking to take on Konosuke Takeshita. Not fighting down, not backing down one single bit, taking down Takeshita. Airplane spin, following it up with a disrespectful smack to the head. Now we see Angle sending Takeshita off of the ropes. Overhead belly to belly suplex. Angle at full advantage for the last 2 minutes or so of this match, ever since he took Takeshita down with that overhead belly to belly suplex off the top rope that took Takeshita from the top down on his neck onto the ladder. That was really the turning point of this match, as now we see Kurt Angle perhaps getting a little too distracted on the outside by putting Don Callis in the ankle lock, as it costs him because Takeshita now introduces a table into the matchup once more, sending it in the direction of Kurt Angle. Now Angle returning the action to the back to the inside. Grabbing a table and sending it to Callis' way. Absolutely perfect comedic timing on that angle. That was terrific. I love that. Now sending him to the outside. Somehow Don Callis has already recovered, and we see Angle now looking for a tope con hello, but Takeshita wisening up to it, able to hit that forearm smash and following it up with a frog splash to a down-facing Kurt Angle. Pinfall attempt here, and Angle once more getting the shoulder up still. As we approach the 33-minute mark in this match, these two men have been fighting for well over a half hour. Repeated stomps now at the hands of Takeshita, sending that microphone directly in the face of Kurt Angle at a brutal angle. Now Takeshita with a running start hits the back elbow in the corner and gonna follow that up to a seated angle with an alley-oop slam. Pinfall attempt here, 1, 2, and no. Angle again refusing to stay down. Takeshita, however, gonna look to relocate Angle here, perhaps moving him to a position more palatable for Takeshita to land his offense. Springboard forearm strike there at the hands of Takeshita. Now Don Callis looking to interject himself in this match, interfering at the hands of the referee. Distraction. Whilst Kurt Angle could be securing a victory here, Don Callis looks to distract the referee, but the referee wisening up, now able to give his full attention to the maneuver that's being applied. I'm not really sure what the... Oh, here we go. Now he's instituting his verdict on the hold. Once more, the submission maneuver being applied. And if I'm not mistaken, Kurt Angle continuously targeting that left leg of Takeshita, not the knee, or not the same leg that he goes for that Takeshita knee with. He has been hitting that with the right knee, I believe. Can Angle secure the victory here with this submission attempt? Takeshita desperately fighting on, fighting for everything that he knows is true. 35 minutes into this match and multiple Angle slams, ankle locks. Will it all have been for nothing, or will Takeshita find a way to fight on, to continue the flame, for the flame to continue burning for Takeshita? He needs to escape this hold at any possible... There we go, finally. Escaping out. Strike from Angle, repeated strikes from Angle now, tripping out the leg. And Takeshita rolling out to the outside once more, evading any further attack from Angle, at least for the moment being. But Angle going to continue the assault on the outside. Now fireman's carry position with Takeshita, drops him face first on that LED screen on the outside and the apron. They're going to send Takeshita into that barricade as well. Nowhere being safe for Takeshita to evade the onslaught of assault that he's facing at the hands of Angle. Yet another Irish whip, and we see Kurt Angle now returning to the inside of the ring. Breaking the count now is Angle, of course an honorable competitor, not going to look to take a count-out victory after 35 minutes of fighting with Konosuke Takeshita, returning the action back to the inside, but Takeshita using that to his advantage. German suplex once again folds up Kurt Angle. That was absolutely lethal to watch, but Angle once more getting the shoulder up, but I don't know at what point is this really detrimental, in fact, to his well-being, as another garbage can shot at the hands of Takeshita. Angle looking to get back up to his feet here, but being sent to the outside as Takeshita rebounding off of the ropes. Tope con hello on to Kurt Angle on the outside. Looking to follow it up with a stomp to the face, but Angle catching him with a forearm strike as he was running in. 37 minutes into this match. We have only a 3-minute duration for one of these competitors to pull ahead before we would have to once more reset the clock. Chair shot to the face now at the hands of Kurt Angle, telling him to stay down. Please stay down. Takeshita, after everything you've been through in this matchup, I don't think that would be an acceptable way, though, for Don Callis or Konosuke Takeshita to end the night, in their opinion. Once more, going to look for the ankle lock. However, Takeshita very quickly finding an escape for that maneuver before Angle could really cinch it in. Takeshita line to follow it up, and that leg has got to be killing Konosuke Takeshita at this point. Absolutely painful amount of frustration. Here we see Takeshita with another Takeshita knee, charging it up from the corner. Could this be it? 1, 2, and no! Once more Takeshita still unable to put Kurt Angle down. I really thought that was going to put away Angle, as Takeshita calling his shot, saying that this would be the killing blow, and now another knee strike. There is no way. 1, 2, and 3. Konosuke Takeshita puts away Kurt Angle and secures himself as the Continental Classic winner. A future AEW World Championship match lies in his future, and he joins the ranks of Drew McIntyre and Shinsuke Nakamura as the former G1 Climax / Continental Classic winners. Up next, we see Kevin Owens looking to take the AEW World Championship away from Kenny Omega.
The following contest is an Extreme Rules match and is for the All-Star Wrestling World Championship.
It is worth mentioning that this match is being contested under lights out rules. That means anything goes. No disqualifications, no pinfalls, no count, or sorry, there are pinfalls, but no countouts. And we must have a winner. We are here in the birthplace of both of these men in Canada. However, we are not quite in Montreal tonight. We are in Toronto, Canada for this show. And two Canadians fighting it out for the AEW World Championship in our main event, as we see the challenger approaching the ring, Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens securing his chance to face Kenny Omega here tonight, following his victory over Will Ospreay back at Full Gear. A matchup that really shot Kevin Owens up in the rankings in terms of AEW, having only shown up a month prior at All Out, in which there was a matchup where Eddie Kingston was supposed to take on Terry Funk. However, in the back parking lot, Terry Funk being taken out at the hands of Kevin Owens, making his mark here in Universe mode, having moved over from the WWE. Now we see the best bout machine, the god of pro wrestling, arrive. This is Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega has been the AEW World Champion for over 400 days, 448 in fact, making him the longest reign of that championship in history, having surpassed Drew McIntyre's 333-day reign. In doing so, Kenny Omega has fought on and fought against all challengers, including Kurt Angle, who we saw in a matchup earlier tonight. Multiple matchups featuring Kenny Omega. Of course, as we mentioned earlier tonight, successful in his endeavor as Anarchy in the Arena at the beginning of this season. Victories last season include in 2K22 over Swerve Strickland in one encounter, I should say, in which he defeated him in a steel cage match by escape, never successfully pinning Swerve Strickland and leaving that unchecked box. However, having victories over AJ Styles, as well as multiple victories over his course in AEW as the world champion, including matches against Ricky Starks as well. Not to mention Kenny Omega at the beginning of 2K22 defeating John Cena in that dream matchup to start that season off. And ever since, Kenny Omega has reigned as that AEW World Champion, but Kevin Owens, an absolute ruthless force, tearing his way through the AEW locker room like a bad virus recently, is looking to end that title reign, that historic title reign at 448 days. It all comes to a world's end here tonight. I had mentioned that Kevin Owens made his arrival at All Out a few months ago, in which there was supposed to be a matchup, a hardcore matchup, absolutely no disqualifications between Eddie Kingston and Terry Funk. However, prior to that match, in the back, Terry Funk being attacked by Kevin Owens, and then the brawl ensued between Eddie Kingston and Kevin Owens. Following that, Kevin Owens had another barn burner of a hardcore match with Will Ospreay last month, in which he defeated Ospreay and shot up in the rankings here in Universe Mode, as mentioned. Now we see them meet on the outside. Kevin Owens taking a powder to the outside, looking to take his time, but Kenny Omega not having any bit of it, following in with that V-trigger on the outside to start off this matchup. Kenny Omega is fired up, and he is pissed off at the fact that Kevin Owens thought that he could just absolutely tear his way through the locker room that Kenny Omega has worked so hard to establish. But Kevin Owens now turning the tides, repeated stomps in the corner at the hands of Owens to Kenny Omega. Owens, a man who had his fair share of struggles towards the end of his WWE tenure. While in Universe Mode, he was a part of, and a V-trigger, the Kamagoye almost on the ground too. Kevin Owens follows it up with a running clothesline. As mentioned, Kevin Owens ending last season as the IWGP North American champion, losing that belt at Wrestle Kingdom to none other than Roman Reigns in a very tragic loss for Kevin Owens. I see Owens fighting back to Omega. We see that cursed turnbuckle pad that we saw, and now repeated back elbows as well to Kenny Omega. Looks to follow it up with a super kick, but not to do so, as now Kevin Owens catches him off guard. We saw that turnbuckle pad being put to advantage multiple times in that corner in the last match between Takeshita and Kurt Angle. And I do believe that one of those strikes, maybe one of those back elbows in the corner, has busted open Kenny Omega at this point. Jumping Hurricane Rana, though. Kenny Omega not one to be put out of the match, not one to be counted out in the opening moments of the match. Of course, he is one of the most tremendous competitors we have here and one of the longest tenured champions in Universe Mode history. Owens now, however, on the outside with that table up in position. Now looking for a powerbomb perhaps through the table, but Kenny Omega fighting out of it with a series of strikes. Looking for that knee strike and connects with once more another V-trigger to Kevin Owens, looking for the pinfall attempt, but Kevin Owens getting the shoulder up yet again. Omega now looking for Owens to get back up to his feet here. A reversal from Owens on the outside. Prior to Owens' arrival in WWE, in AEW, he was in WWE trying to regain that IWGP North American Championship back at SummerSlam in a triple threat elimination match featuring himself, Roman Reigns, and Sami Zayn. Coming up short in that match, Kevin Owens was then traded to AEW in exchange for John Cena to be sent back to the WWE. And now we see a pop-up powerbomb from Kevin Owens, a pinfall attempt here as he looks to secure the victory over our champion Kenny Omega, but no, only a 2 count. Owens now frustrated at the referee's decision, looking for to rebound off the ropes with a splash. So Kevin Owens being traded to AEW in exchange for John Cena to make his return to WWE, which quite frankly I do think has turned out to be quite a fair trade on both ends, as Kevin Owens now finds himself in the main event picture here in AEW and could be walking away from this matchup, all things considered, after a failed pump handle attempt. All things considered, Kevin Owens could be walking away here tonight as a champion when this is all said and done, unless Kenny Omega now connecting with the man's own finishing maneuver, hitting a package pile driver on Kevin Owens. The amount of sheer disrespect on that maneuver. Kevin Owens, though, still able to get the shoulder up. Could you imagine if Kevin Owens was put away with his own maneuver here in his home country? Of course, it being both men's home country, but still, Kevin Owens is a prideful man, and he would not stand for that super kick attempt. Rebounding with a springboard dropkick, failed attempt from Kenny Omega. Now a series of strikes and a snapmare followed by a chop and a kick back into the ladder that was just introduced by Kenny Omega. Now looking to grab the legs of Kevin Owens. However, Kevin Owens, fired up, is going to continue another splash off of the ropes. Going to continue to put the fight down on Kenny Omega here. Has him scooped up in cradle position for a power slam. Now calling for him to get back up to his feet, desperately asking, what will it take? Series of right fists to the face, strikes at the hands of Owens. Once more, splashing on top of Kenny Omega with the back being divided at the hands of that ladder. Now Kevin Owens with a running big boot off of the ropes. Kenny Omega is absolutely being decimated here at the hands of Kevin Owens. What is, quite frankly, kind of a one-handed beatdown at this point. It did seem like Kenny Omega had some fire in the early goings of this match. Oh, but now we see both men fighting on the stage here, fighting on the ramp. Kevin Owens with a reversal now, sending Kenny Omega even further up the ramp. These two men could be fighting all the way to the backstage area based on how this is going and based on how Kevin Owens' other matches here in AEW have gone so far. A lot of them leading to battles in the parking lot, in the backstage. Repeated super kicks here from Kevin Owens. Now looking for a pinfall attempt at the top of the ramp here. 1, 2, and no. Kenny Omega successfully kicking out there. Despite Kevin Owens looking to put away Omega, sending Omega through the stage setup here. There are these two men, and now we see them return now after being sent through the display screen there. Omega now fighting back with a series of strikes, looking to prevent himself from whatever Kevin Owens has planned here to potentially be sending him for a ride. Now Snapdragon suplex to Kevin Owens on the top of the stage. 1, and no. Kevin Owens getting the shoulder up yet again.
No love lost between these superstars right now, really trying to prove who the better
series of strikes now from Owens, answering back on Omega. Gets him up for the fireman's carry position, but Omega fighting out of that now. Another super kick from Kevin Owens. Gonna look to return now, perhaps down to the ring. No, he's just gesturing to the crowd. Kenny Omega absolutely unresponsive at this point in the match, having endured a lot of damage at the hands of Kevin Owens, as well as being sent through that stage display at the top we saw. You see Kenny Omega really worse for wear here, really not in a great shape, quite frankly. Struggling to get to his feet here as Kevin Owens now returning to the ringside area.
Heading back to the ring.
Kenny Omega now hustling to get back into the ring, only to be caught by Kevin Owens now with a boot to the gut, looking to rebound him off the ropes, but the referee's interference now costing Kevin Owens that opportunity for an advantage. Picks him up for the package and releases him onto a sit-out slam. Now Owens back and forth fighting with Omega. Series of strikes here, back and forth. Omega with a chop, desperately trying to fight his way back into this matchup. But now it's Owens with a pump handle, drops him down on the knee for the neck breaker. Kenny Omega now fighting out of that, booting off Kevin Owens, going for the pinfall attempt. Now Kenny Omega setting him up in the corner with the garbage can. However, Kevin Owens sidestepping that, looking for the axe handle from behind. Kenny Omega wisened up to it. Series of reversals from both men. And now it's Kevin Owens who once more looks for the pump handle neck breaker. Twice now dropping Kenny Omega directly across that knee. Now sends him into the corner with a back elbow. And now getting ready with a running start and a cannonball in the corner. Kevin Owens, snapmare takedown, absolutely rattling Kenny Omega here. He's going to bring him over to the ropes here. I don't like where that ladder is currently positioned. Kevin Owens going to look to follow Kenny Omega to the outside. Oh no, this is a maneuver we've seen multiple times now. A maneuver that can incapacitate any competitor, looking for the powerbomb on the apron on the outside, but just barely. Kenny Omega fighting out of that and answering back with a B trigger. Kick out now from Kevin Owens immediately at the count of 1, despite Kenny Omega looking for that attempted maneuver on the outside following the V-trigger. Now the package sit-out backbreaker at the hands of Owens. Owens now returning to the inside of the ring. Now sending Omega off the ropes with the rebound. Pop-up powerbomb. Pinfall attempt here at the hands of Owens. 1, 2, and no, only a 2 count for Owens. Can he capitalize, though, on the advantage that he has currently against Omega? Once more going to look to set up Omega along those ropes, sending him to the outside now. And here it is. The ladder positioned on the apron. Could we be seeing the apron powerbomb to Kenny Omega onto that ladder on the apron? Oh my God. 1, 2, and 3. Kevin Owens has done it. He is the new AEW World Champion. Kevin Owens in a fantastic match, in an unprecedented series of maneuvers, just absolutely vicious at the end of this match, absolutely gruesome and brutal. And it was that last bit, that last apron powerbomb onto the ladder that secured Kevin Owens with that AEW World Championship and ending Kenny Omega's 400